Hi, come on, man.
How you doing? There you are.
There I am. It's wonderful to see you. You look like you're wearing a football helmet or something.
It's my baseball cap, yeah.
Well, the space between the headphones and the hat itself look like stripes, like a fancy bird head or something.
Say that again. The face between what?
The place between the arms of the earphones and your hat shows up white like stripes on the head of a bird.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. They're my wings.
Yes, they're your beautiful wings.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So it's finally happened. There's a lot of doing and froing.
Yes. Seems like you had a good time at the music festival, though.
Yeah, it was a bit mad. It was great fun. Hadn't been to one in a good while, so it was nice.
Good for you. Yeah. It sounds beautiful.
Yeah, it's good crack now. Yeah, sleeping now in the tent and the tent collapsing from the rain in the middle of the night, and then having to move out of the glove compartment, which I was kind of in that part of the tent. It was fine, but and then there's probably better ways, having mattresses and things like that.
Yeah, that sounds fun. We have a van that we slide the seats up out of and just camp inside of it. So we're good for rain and snakes and bugs, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, a van, yeah. Is it one that is not a VW van, is it?
No.
Okay.
We could never afford repairs on something like that.
Yeah. It's
more like a. Go ahead.
I was going to say, there's wonder they don't keep those going because there'd still be such a demand. They're such an iconic vehicle, really. I think they do.
They're wonderful. They're beautiful. However, the problem, at least around here and in other parts of the country, is you can't find a reliable and honest repair man or woman. So, yeah,
they can be expensive. I had a friend that had one from 1970, and we drove through France, from the top of France down to the bottom and back up again.
Wonderful. Oh, how fun.
It was fun, yeah. Although I think we drove each other a bit crazy back when, a long time ago.
It helps if you get along.
Yeah.
If you live in a small space.
Yeah.
My husband and I live in a trailer. We took all the walls out of it and put lots of windows in. So there's really no other room.
Right.
We even had the bathroom open for a while, but with guests that got kind of strange, so we put the walls back in.
Yeah. There's limits.
Yes, definitely.
So a trailer. So, like, what's that exactly mean? What's your description of a trailer? Versus, is it like a mobile home?
Well, it moved once after it was made to our property. So, are you thinking in feet or meters?
Yeah, because we've recently, during the summer, we got one that's they're a lot different than they were 30 years ago.
This is a 54-foot long trailer.
Okay.
And it's about 14 feet wide. So it's like a train car.
Yeah.
Really.
Okay.
Yeah, we just put a bunch of sliding glass windows in, which in there are doors because the ceilings are so low.
Right.
So we have kind of an indoor-outdoor type of deal going on. Okay. Yeah.
And you're right.
I'll send you a video.
So you're right in the wilderness there, is it?
Yes. Do you want to see?
Yeah, definitely.
See if I can turn the camera around. Okay, there we are.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The Rockies is the word that comes to mind, but is it the Rockies? It's not the Rockies. That's where.
Well, it's Utah, and it's desert mountains.
Okay.
So they're red rock, old sand dunes, really. The Rockies are granite, and this is the other. Now I don't know how to turn it back. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So it is really beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, this is when you go for your walk. I've seen some of your videos on YouTube, and very happy, tipping along in that beautiful space there. Seems.
Yeah, it is beautiful. There's so many things that you try to do to make yourself happy, you know, when you feel that lack, you know. So a lot of it for me was, you know, well, let's see, lose weight, get fit, find love, move to a beautiful place, and nothing ever works. But so we did
Yeah.
end up in such a beautiful place. Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah, that's does help. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to someone this morning. I even studied biochemistry in college because I wanted to go into neurobiology and try to find out how to feel good. That was my goal, you know. Yeah, that elusive goal that can never be found because it's just an idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know what you were looking for?
No, oh no. Like I said, you know, there's always these goals that come up, and but it's just that horrible feeling of lack, of incompleteness, you know. And so I could say it was a long quest to find love or something, but I never had an idea. I never even heard of this. You know,
Yeah.
my husband and I spent many years traveling in India, the whole winter, many winters, and we met a lot of seekers, you know, and they all wore white, you know, and they talked in really hushed voices, and it
Yeah.
just seemed like they were trying to be dead. And I just thought, you know, where's the bar? You know, what's all this stuff going on?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Where's the
yeah,
fun? Yeah.
yeah. Where's the fun? Because you know, I'd heard of no self, but that doesn't make any sense. You know, it's like,
No.
what does that mean? It does. This like doesn't make any sense. And I had never heard there were no things. I never had read that, so it came as quite a shock. Yeah, and it's still amazing. Yeah, that
Yeah.
there's no things, because the closest the intellect can get is interconnectedness or interrelatedness, you know. And I heard a bunch of nonsense like the thing is not the name when the opposite is true. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, I suppose it's
yeah.
the idea of a concept versus the reality. You know, it's kind of like eating empty words and then seeing it in a way, it's, any concept can just be, it will always leave you feeling still hungry, even if it might kind of suggest something's nice on the menu, it's still just a concept.
Right, because this conceptual world, this known world, basically made of learned shared words, this shared dream of separation, is the only world we can know because we're conceptual beings, we're imaginary. So we live in a world of imaginary things and time and separate moments. And so when the floor falls through, and it's like you crash through a mirror and you find there's nothing on the other side. There are no sides and there's no middle. So the razor of thought cannot even come close to what I might talk about if I say things like unicity or wholeness or other words, because as soon as I say it, it sounds like it's a thing.
Mm.
Even nothingness or emptiness, it's not, they all sound like things because that's what, you know, the brain does, okay? So what either there's just no cause for it all to come crashing through itself. You know, because it's not a belief, it can't be understood, you know, and it doesn't even happen to you because there's no you for it to happen to. It's like your whole life you've been looking for the treasure and suddenly it's all treasure, but it's an empty prize for no one. It's just spectacular. So the dream of separation, where we are, hello, beautiful Frank, I love you, is the only place where beauty and love exist because they're concepts. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool what you said there. I can't remember it, but I like the sound of it.
Well,
Um,
well, it's like, can you take like, can you find an edge to what's going on? Can you grab something and take it outside of what's going on? You know, where would it go? Can you
Yeah.
bring something or add something to what's going on? You know, where would it come from? And there are no edges, obviously. It's just seamless. It is only thought, the thought dream, which seems to separate the perceptual input into separate things and moments. You know, even though no one can find a separate moment, there's belief in that. So I think that's what the great tension is. If you are a seeker, is like, because you know the seamlessness, but it's intuited. So what you long for is to capture it, but it cannot be captured or grasped. And it cannot be made anew because it's always this way. Yeah.
What do you think of the words? It was always known.
Yes, I would say it was always intuited.
Yeah, intuited, right? Okay.
Yeah. Because it's obvious. Oh, you know, the great surprise too is like there was never anyone doing life. Life never happened to anyone. You know, there never was a was. So like when this first happened, I thought, oh, well, surely I'm going to pee my pants. Or maybe my body will crumple to the floor because it's just so amazing. And then it's just obvious that there never was anyone doing anything, you know. It just all happened by itself.
Do you remember at all, as just a curiosity, in that, was it all in that movement that never was? But do you remember being totally freaked out, or was it all cool and nice? Just when nothing happened.
No, it was not freaky at all. The freakiness was the year preceding it, I would say, which was a lot of, you know, the story starting to erase itself. But I never fought it. It always felt perfect in a way, even the searing pain. You know, it just always felt just right somehow. So no, there wasn't any confusion or non-confusion when it first happened. Just felt like, it just felt so natural. I thought, oh, well, you know, everyone's got to know about this. Certainly. It's, you know, it's just obvious. So, you know, I looked, I didn't know a lot about spirituality or religion. I was never into it, but I looked at various pages, you know, Buddhist, Dzogchen, because the person I read a lot was a Dzogchen master from 700 years ago.
Right.
And Zen groups and stuff, and no one seemed to be talking about it. You know, they would talk about there was no self. Generally, people who were talking that way would say what they are. I'm not a self, but instead I'm awareness or consciousness, or you know what I mean. They find a bigger, better self.
Yeah.
And so it took a long time to find people who knew there were no things. And I think it's very rare, or perhaps just a lot of people don't talk about it. You know, but I've always been kind of a performer type. So yeah, I'm like a song and dance man type of person.
Yeah, because it just sometimes it can, people, you know, when you're just talking there, but like it can come across that these words, if they're believed, can appear like somebody knows something, and so then, you know, whereas it's the absolute opposite. I get the impression it's the zero knowings, and nobody's comfortable in the zero knowings. It's just
yes, because as conceptual being, the self wants more knowing, and really, it seems to me that all of the knowing and trying to find out more and more and more is to become more solid. It's the fear of not knowing. It's the fear of no solidity and no reference points whatsoever that drives a search for knowing. Whereas what happens, it's just a sublime unknowing. You know, it's just, and there's no one to know. It's just edgeless, seamless, scintillating, three-dimensional light fabric.
yeah, it's that. Yeah, I kind of like the It's like this like nothing is, when you hear nothing is everything, it flatlines the brain, but it's because of what you're saying, the no things, it seems, because there are no things, there's everything in that. It's a load of shit, though.
Yeah, it's not separate. The conceptual world is not separate from the unknowing.
And we're so used to,
Um,
are we so used to, in a way, that when somebody talks, it appears like there's a center to that talking, and so that talking knows something, and it must still is a part. You still project an apartness on someone, but the reality is all words are just sounds, aren't they? Like they're just all sounds appearing like they mean something to somebody, but they're all just like, they're not
well,
important. I'm saying
well,
that they're not
it's
important, but they're still amazing as well. I'm not diminishing. I'm just saying, when there's a belief that the words mean something. This is a kind of question. When there's a belief that the words mean something, then you
yes,
dissect the words.
that's the belief in separation,
Mm.
which is the world, the known world of separate things and moments and events. So it seems like, for example, if I say the word tree, and you get a picture of a tree in your head, and it can look like a lot of different trees. It can look like an evergreen or a deciduous tree or a little shrub or a giant 80-foot tree or something. So it's basically, I just want to preface this by saying that anything said about the dream paints the dream, right? So I'm just painting more dream fabric with these words. So um, the kind of like, there's this perceptual input. Okay, now I'm creating separate things, and it's inseparable simultaneous recognition. And then thought, which seems to lasso a part of that and freeze frame it and create something solid called a tree. And as far as meaning and non-meaning, that just goes along with it.
Mm.
So I wouldn't say it's meaningless. I would say there's no meaning or non-meaning. There's It's not even nothing. And so in this dream of separation, there is you and me and love and trees and mountains. And not believing in the dream is still the dream.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, the meaning, it's the feeling of solidity. And I think the search is created by the knowing that there is none and the longing for it. Because that fear is great. It's death, and even though there's no one to die, I would have to say that here it felt like I was dying. It was not a fun thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if people talk about the story of that, but it's not exactly a wonderful thing. But
No.
yeah, yeah,
Well, it's, if every anchor is pulled, that made, yeah.
yeah. Every reference point, it's a shoreless sea and there are no harbors. There is no beach. There's no place to rest. And,
Yeah.
people call it falling, but it's more like crashing. It's like a a freight train hitting the side of a mountain. Just, yeah. But yeah, it is. All your anchors are pulled until there's not even nothing left.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
funny when you describe, it's when you describe your an experience there. It's amazing how um, there's no way you can, there's no way on this. You can't grasp that. You say it lovely and it's almost gentle, the words, when you're saying it. There's no way you can grasp the madness of that either. There's no way you can capture madness until you're eating madness.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why poetry can convey it, because it is ambiguous words and phrases which seem to be able to catapult the mind out of its assumed grooves, the assumption of knowing, and kind of leave the hangingness, with nowhere to go. But so it's fun to write. you know, I don't feel like I've ever written anything. That's why I give more books away than I sell.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And how how is life? How is not even like how are things? Everything
uh,
begins and ends, but how, like, in a way, if you were to describe this happening for you, can you describe it? And can you describe how things are?
what it feels like,
Yeah, just
I would say there's no one here because there is no here, and there's no one there because there is no there, and even love is the dream, but the dream is just fucking spectacular. And it just feels like a dream, just it's also not dreamlike in that it's not fadey or obscure. It's vibrant and alive
yeah.
beyond measure. Yeah,
It's the only show in
because
town.
the imaginary, yeah,
It's
the
the only
imaginary
show.
character, yeah, it's our world. This is it.
It's the
This
only
is
show in
it.
town. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the imaginary character changes quite a lot. At least it did for me. I wasn't, like this before. Well, there is no before, but it does change a lot because so much of the thought stream changes, and there's no one left to read it. The story continues, but there's no one reading it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and I asked you just even then on thoughts and the content of thoughts, because there isn't, you can't exactly draw a line in the sand for when it's end game, can you? I'm just curious about the content of thoughts. Does
Oh,
content,
changed
do thoughts
considerably.
having a clue though what's happening? Do they, or do they
Well,
still?
thought is just concept. Yeah, but
Say
the
that
thought
again.
stream,
Yeah.
thoughts are just another concept. They're another made up thing, but the thought stream changes a lot, because there's no more self-judgment or self-criticism. There's no more trying to figure out how I feel, why I feel that way, how I can feel better. There's no more feeling like anyone or anything or the world is broken. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. So if you can imagine not having that thought stream, I don't know what it's like for you, but that was a huge shift to not have that at all. So there's not there's just nothing broken, but there are no things.
Yeah.
so yeah, the content changes a lot, and there's just no one paying attention to it really, I guess. Yeah, yeah. So it's like a sublime emptiness, but no one has it, so it can't be given away or shared or any way. Yeah.
Um, and when words like emptiness and fullness and they can appear like you see, we're talking about we're talking about the forever after in a way. This is the forever, always the forever. Is it like there isn't? This is timelessness. This is the
Yes, it's
this
like never and forever collide and erase
yeah,
each other, right?
and
Because
it's
before, what it is there's a belief and the feeling of something other, something better, something more, or something next, right? There's always that next. And so this is the end of the need or the belief in other, better, more, and next. It's just that's all gone. So there's no more feeling like things should be a certain way, or and it's not like it's an acceptance. I think a lot of my friends thought, oh, she's gotten this deep acceptance of what's going on, but there's no one to accept it or reject it or surrender to it or anything. It's just this dream of separation, which is no longer believed, or so there's no separation felt. And yet it is spectacular as well. Yeah, because this is where love is, And that's pretty cool. This is where
Yeah.
beauty is. That's all imaginary.
What's all imaginary? Beauty and love?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like music. If you think of music, you need separate notes to have a melody, right? So there's imaginary separation is required to recognize unicity. So it's not like the dream ends or something, because awakening is the dream as well. It's just a story.
Awakening.
No one is darkened.
Awakening to
Yeah.
no awakening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The end of belief in next, and the feeling that there's going to be a next, or that there's something better, or there's just something waiting right around the corner, reading one more word, or, doing one more technique, or just doing something has to be done, but there's no one to do anything, and there's no one to do nothing. So, and because this is already the case, nothing need be done. So, yeah. But you can see how every word seems to paint this dream of separation. If every word seems to create a thing, then it's like throwing lassos in the sky and catching air.
Well,
So I would say it's more like it's emptiness without emptiness.
you see,
Or
whatever
space
happens,
without space.
we're just talking about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's pretty fucking unbelievable. And
Yes.
it's kind of and once you step beyond that, it's totally fine to step beyond that, but it's still then it appears in a way, doesn't it, that it could be other, even though that's still this. No way to
Right.
capture it, really, from what I
Right. That
gather.
was said beautifully. It seems like there's another, but that's still this. Yeah. That's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Because, no one can find an edge or an outside to what's going on. So there's no escape from the dream, because there is no outside to the dream. And there is no inside. Because inside and outside is all made up. All this and that is made up, mentally fabricated.
Yeah.
So what drives the seeker is the feeling of lack and the belief in more and next. And it doesn't matter that you've never found a next. The belief doesn't go away. So that's why all that self-inquiry and all those techniques and stuff don't work, because they just seem to solidify the painful feeling of separation.
And also maybe that also this sense of there must be a place in this chaos for a me. There must be a place in chaos for me, and somewhere I can put my flag and say, "Here,
Right.
I've arrived." Because
Yeah.
that's all you see everywhere, and
Yes, because along with the arising of the belief in self is the fear of its demise. So, maybe if you can make yourself solid or find some solidity, then maybe you won't die.
yeah. And so even that's the non-dual thing in a way. It's even trying to find a no self.
Right. Because you saw a lot of teachers, they'll say, oh, there is no self, I don't exist, right? And so in sometimes what they seem to be saying is that I am a non-self. But what I always say is I'm an imaginary self. Like, you can't be a non-self. What does that mean? This is the dream right here. This couple is passing with their beautiful dog, and hi. And so, yeah. Or, I say to people, I'm just as real as you are, and tomorrow.
Mm.
Just an idea, which has no solidity. There isn't any. And so that's what I'm saying is people know this or intuit it, that there is no solidity. Um, and yet there's the belief in separation and in solidity. So I think that creates quite a dissonance. And for some people, like it did for me, it just was very painful. And other people seem to be bouncing around their life and so happy with getting their new car, or, you know, going out to dinner or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but for other people, it's just maddening to find this elusive thing. And like I said, I wasn't really into spirituality that much or religion. And, you know, living out here in Utah, uh, in the boonies, it was very limited to things that we were exposed to. Yeah.
Yeah. So I obviously something in the story that you were given about this happening, there wasn't something in it, just there was a crack started to show, and obviously then you started going to look for an explanation or not an answer or something to
Oh,
fill the cracks.
no, after the shift, no, I wasn't looking to fill the cracks. I knew that this was it. This is what I'd been looking for, even though I didn't have any idea. No, I was just looking, just curious, really, to
Mm.
see if there were other people who knew this, because it seemed so obvious, or unknew it.
Yeah.
And I didn't find a lot of people, but I didn't know where to look. I was, you know, I'm still internet, not that good at it, but getting better. Yeah. So there were no cracks to fill. There was no sense of lack. There was no one to be lacking. There
Yeah.
wasn't, you know, I wouldn't say there's, you can't say it's not fullness, it's not emptiness, it's not wholeness, it's not unicity. It's not an it, and there are no its. Yeah.
Mm.
So this is the case always, without time or non-time. This seamless ease of no thingness is what's going on. And yet at the same time, there's the dream of separation, the known world. But they're not separate, because all this and that made up. So it's just everything I say just paints the dream. You know, it
That's the
creates
beginning and end
more
of it.
concepts.
Isn't that the beginning and end of it in a way? I mean, maybe you see, for a very long time, I kind of struggled with I felt listening to people, I really believed the words that I was hearing, and I felt that they knew something that I didn't, and that if
Yes.
I could get to there, I'd know what they knew, and then I'd be more at peace, or whatever concept that was there. But the reality was that it wasn't about
It's
acquiring, it was about losing everything.
right.
Or,
I did
not
too. You
even,
know,
yeah.
I read books and listened to things, and you know, we cleaned houses, and I was listening to different teachers and this and that while we were doing things. But what happened here is, like, suddenly, and it was right around my 50th birthday, although I'm not an age freak, so that wouldn't have really been anything like that. But it just suddenly hit me like a sledgehammer that all I had done my entire life had not brought me one bit closer to this elusive goal, when I didn't even know what it was. And it was like I was just stunned for a month, just like, and then that's when the ripping and shredding started. And it was a year later when the shift happened. But I know what you mean. There's the belief that someone knows something, and you'll read anything you can, because, like, there's got to be an understanding, because that's trying to fill the cracks. Yeah, trying to fill the emptiness. But instead, it's like the emptiness that you feel, that's really true.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. That emptiness that's so scary, that is true. There's nothing in there. There's nothing inside. There's not even nothing, because nothing could be made into a thing, right? So there's not even nothing. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
not
it
even
can't even be
knowing.
thought about. Yeah. It can't be thought about because thought is a razor. Every word is like a razor, slicing up what cannot be divided or split and what has no edges.
And yes, thought appears in the primordial spaghetti soup as much as anything. And when the chaos is, that is the chaos as much as anything else. But when maybe there's something, I don't know even if that's true though, to say that this is the spaghetti. Like I was talking to
Yeah.
somebody and we were talking about an experience where it felt like being plunged into this sense of primordial soup, but this is the primordial soup constantly appearing as.
Yeah, it's more like alphabet soup.
Okay.
Looking for love in a bowl of alphabet soup.
Yeah.
I would never say that there is the primordial soup or whatever appearing as this.
Yeah.
Because there is no before. You know, there's no before or after. So it's just life doing itself, of itself so. Looking and feeling like anything at all, really. Yeah. But yeah, I like when we were kids, we had a spook house on Halloween. We would make a big thing of spaghetti and the people would have to stick their hand in there and we would tell it was brains. Yeah.
Yeah. The before and after thing is striking as well when you say it there, because like really you live in beginning and ends and you assume that everything begins and ends, and you assume that, well, what you're saying has a beginning, it comes from somewhere inside and it goes somewhere out, to me, let's just say, and back again. That's how you,
Right.
but
Yeah. That's
that's
the
not the
belief in
case
separation. So if
again.
there's thought, there must be a thinker. If there's feeling, there must be a feeler. And if there's all this, it must come from somewhere. And but there isn't. Because no one's ever found a before or after or a next. And yet the belief in it. And so I think that's a lot of the dissonance I spoke of that people feel, that I felt. It was like, it's painful because also even it cannot be contemplated, but even trying to contemplate it, it just gets really slippery and there's no place to land. There's nothing to hold on to. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's the beauty of it. It's like everything that I feared became so beautiful. Yeah. And it's you know, it feels like love, but not like any ideas I had of love, you know. Just if there's no feeling of separation, every other imaginary character I see, it just feels like love, you know. And you'd like to say it to everyone, but you can't. I love you. You're beautiful. You learn to hide the love, really.
Yeah, that's funny
Yeah.
because in our messaging, it's it's um, it's quite nice to read. You say nice things in your messages. I think it's kind of it's interesting. It's not interesting is the word, but it's kind of nice. It's so friendly and loving or whatever. It's quite nice. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah. I love you, Frank. I love you, Frank. You're very beautiful, especially
think.
with your bird hat on.
Thank you. Yeah, my
Yeah.
freedom hat. Yeah.
Your racing stripes.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Jesus.
But you do learn how to hide it, you know, because people think you're coming on to them. Or I remember just when I was in that month of shock, I went into a supermarket and I just said hi to the vegetable guy, and I found that he was following me around. So you learn how to hide it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I had that. I was
Yeah.
having sandwiches with these guys, and I was kind of going, it's not like I wanted to say anything, but I kind of wanted to just put, like you're in class. I was saying this, that you're in class and you want to answer a question and you're very excited to put your hand up, and then when it comes to you, you kind of go, I just want to put my hand up because I don't know what to say. Or it's like kind of a feeling
Yeah.
of seeing a beautiful woman and going straight up to her and going, and then absolutely nothing can come out because it just doesn't, there's nothing to be said.
Yeah.
It's more just that sense of excitement a little bit, but then that's kind of making it something. But just that little excitement of, hiya, look,
Yes.
what's what's
Yeah.
what's what's this? Not even, I'm not even asking the question. I'm just going, hi.
Yeah. How beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I feel more like a puppy dog, seeing, look,
A
how
puppy
beautiful.
dog. Yeah,
Yeah, just wagging my tail. This is so great.
that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. My doggy is always happy to see me.
How
um,
old's your dog?
4. She's a golden
Oh,
retriever.
what?
Um,
Oh, how beautiful. What's her name?
Bonnie Tyler. Bonnie.
Bunny. All
Yeah,
right.
Bonnie, yeah. I lost you. Oh. Mhm. Ah, hiya.
You still there?
Yes,
Okay.
I got
Can't
you.
see you, but can you hear me?
I can
Okay.
hear you. I think your image is gone. Let me just ask to start video. It's probably in a dodgy spot
Oh,
where you are. Is it?
I've tried not to move too much. So it says my video is still on. It should be okay, but it's getting really windy.
Yeah,
So,
I can't see you, but I can hear you well though.
oh, okay. Well, we can still talk then.
Yeah.
I can hear you just fine. You have such a beautiful voice. It's very musical.
Thank you. um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very yeah, I was chatting to somebody today and we're like, it is the kind of loudest discussion in the room, and they kind of sometimes presume that, well, not even presume, it has to be known everywhere. It's just that everybody is maybe tipping away and not talking about it. I don't, yeah, what's going on with that is just the way it is. That's just, this is the
Yeah.
biggest, loudest
Looking and
pot.
feeling like anything at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just do itself. I mean, you can say nothing ever happened, nothing ever will, and nothing happening now. But that saying that is also the dream. Yeah. Because I don't talk about this. Oh, there you are. I don't talk about this with people I know around here. And there's a lot of spiritual seekers that they want to merge with God, or
Yeah.
they love all that spiritual crap, which I was never interested in.
Yeah.
So it's just a few people are interested, and I think that I get people will come and go and talk to me for a while, maybe a month or a few years, and then they'll leave, and maybe they'll come back or not, because they finally realize I really can't give them anything. I got nothing to give. So it's not a very popular thing to talk about, because people want to talk about
Becoming.
spirituality. They want a goal. They want a place where they're going to arrive, where they're going to feel this peace, and all this mystical, magical stuff. And what is never seen until maybe it is that it's all magical. It's all gold. Looking for the gold, and it's all gold.
Yeah, but it is also like that life, the journey of life is almost, this journey of becoming is almost marketing itself everywhere, through everything that
Yes.
is learned and taught and seen, that there is a
Hmm.
place somebody can get to and there is an arrival. to this
Yes.
train of becoming, and there is a place to put the flag. I am here, I've arrived. Except then when I have to do my taxes, then that's not it. It has to be only when I'm feeling the peace and the bliss. Then,
Right.
but then that's
Right.
constrained. But you see, in that as well, it seems like that really, it's all the things that, um, all those marketing messages and concepts that you've brought with you your entire life. You're kind of going, you're absolutely believing that no matter, you hear this, I heard this is it for 10 years. I mean,
Right.
I heard, but I didn't hear it. But the start of it was, this is it. And then it then went on to talk about the self and the loss of self and all that. And that's the bit I focused on. I never heard the "this is it" part.
Yeah.
That was the that was
Yeah.
that was the killer, because there in that, the embrace of the, you know, the thing is, like, if we were chatting and I told you, because I've known people throughout the years, and I was to tell them my story and they would tell me their story of how they became something, and they can show me, and then one to the other almost depend on each other, then the teacher and the student and all that, that
Yes.
can happen.
Yes. Well, this first happened, I would say that I wanted to.
Yeah, you're breaking up me a little. You're falling apart of me a little bit. There you go. You're gone. Oh, you're back.
I was gonna say, I felt like running up the canyon like a deer and splashing through the water and laughing at the clouds and just, but you go through a canyon and
I'm
there's
losing
no
you.
air.
I'm losing you a
Oh,
little bit
oh
there
no.
now. You're kind of
Okay.
coming and
Well,
going.
maybe we should call it good then, because I haven't really moved much,
Have you
but
not?
this is the canyon.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's a deep
I
canyon.
think we did really well, even to, given how remote it looks, that we're able to chat at all is pretty cool. No, so,
Yeah, it's
someday
wonderful to talk with
I
you.
yeah, I'll get out there with my camera someday. Maybe that would be a cool thing to happen. You never know how to
Yeah, you never
where
know.
that
But
is.
in the wild, wild west, you'll have to get a cowboy hat.
I would love that.
Oh, okay.
I would love a cowboy hat.
Oh, I wish I could send you one.
No, I'd wear a good cowboy hat now. I'd be into that now. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the only person who's ever recognized me from my videos didn't know my name, but they saw my hat and they said, "Oh,
Okay.
you're the lady with the big hat who makes the non-dual videos." Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
it's yeah, obviously, like, it's there's a passion, seems to be a passion in your words and in your I think it's exploding rainbows. Your words seem to
yeah,
pop up, and you seem to have a passion for this.
yeah.
That's
I love singing about not even nothing.
yeah.
But it's never feeling like there's anyone doing life, so, or writing songs or anything. It's just seamless ease, you know, just all happening by itself. And yeah, the feeling of planting a flag, because self is the belief in other, better, more, or next, and so there's a feeling of trying to arrive somewhere, but it's more like the path collapses, the ground collapses, the goal collapses, everything collapses. So because that's when all those beliefs are seen through, it's just no longer felt. Yeah.
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 Did you ever do psychedelics years ago? Did you ever kind of,
Oh yeah, I did psychedelics a lot in the early 80s.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved them. This is better though. This is better. This is better than acid. But I loved acid, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's one reason I called it, when this happened, I called it the big wow, because that's kind of what I felt like when I was tripping. Yeah. The big wow.
Yeah. And do you think that
Yeah.
acid can show this at all, or hint towards this, or is it does break the person apart a little bit, but it's still. What do you think of that idea?
Um, one of my friends, Michael Markham, who's in our group,
Yeah.
met someone when he was a hospice volunteer, and the guy was dying of ALS, but he got to know him and talked to him, and he could tell that Fred had, you know, had this shift, or his brain had it or whatever. And he asked him what happened, and he said, years and years ago, I took some LSD and my world turned apart, and it never came back.
Yeah.
So I'm not suggesting anyone use drugs.
No, I know you're not. No, no. I would have a
But for
perspective
me,
on it. Yeah.
but for me, the first time I took acid brought me out of like the depression I'd been in from years when I was 8 until about 20. So it's like it broke some of the hypnotic trance. And then I would have to say I spent the next, 30 years looking for the big wow, probably.
That
But I
honest.
did it a lot. I mean, I did it every 2 weeks for
Did you really?
a couple.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's great fun. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
loved it.
great fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know people around here in the spiritual community, because this is becoming a spiritual place, quote unquote.
Right.
They're doing drugs like ayahuasca and stuff, and it seems like they're having tastes of it. But even the feeling that you're doing something like taking a drug to see it would seem to solidify the belief and feeling of separation. That's why all techniques can be so hypnotic, because if you're meditating and you feel like you're getting a glimpse of something, then you think you did it and it was caused. And if you think you did something, then it solidifies the idea of a self who can or cannot do anything.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Very interesting. Yeah, because I think you can get the sense of it, but then it's like Alan Watts said about the hanging up the phone. I think either the message has been received or you believe that you've got a glimpse of it, but you just need to keep going and take loads more, and you'll finally get there. It's either
yeah,
it can happen, but then
yeah.
people can say it can happen walking down the road, or I mean, yeah. But there
Yeah,
isn't.
I was cleaning a stove.
You were cleaning the stove.
Yeah, I was cleaning a stove, and I had the knob off the stove because we clean houses. And like suddenly, without any warning, it was like my hand became the rag, became the knob, became the space, became the stove, became the air, became the wall, became everything. All things just disappeared. It's like, wow. So cleaning a stove. Go and clean some stoves, Frank.
Yeah. There you go. Get away from those damn drugs and go and do the
But
garden like I've been asked to do.
yeah, but people who
Then I'll finally get there.
but I have friends who, everyone just wants to feel good, and they're not interested in this. I don't think that anybody really wants this or would want, the hell, to find heaven, to find there is no other side, to find there is no hell or heaven. So of course I would say, go for a walk, it makes you feel good, or do things like that. I'm kind of a health nut, so I'm really into nutrition and exercise and stuff like that. Yeah. Left over from the days when I was trying to feel good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the prescription in a way of any sort. The person's dying for a list, one way or another. They don't get a list, then you know what I mean? You need a list for life to get you to a better place. So give you a list and then you're happy. Don't just tell me it's what's happening. Just give me a way to get to know, because you must know it's just what's happening. You must know that.
What's happening This guy's from this. No.
Do you know what's? It's really funny because you're totally now broken up, and I'm hearing words like just this, and then this, this.
Okay. We should call it good then, Hank.
I think we did well. I think we did well.
Yeah.
Great to talk to you, Nancy.
It's wonderful talking to you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Love you.
See you. Bye. Bye. Hi, if you like the conversation that I just had and you'd like more, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you.